What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JT Knows Things, and we are back in the Crypto Den. Today, we're actually going to switch gears a little bit and go to the crypto classroom. All right, at my partner's place, Steve Wolterman. We are meeting every week and filming a podcast. So we're going to publish the audio version on every platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Crypto Classroom will be there. Your boy will be explaining in long form all the fundamentals that have made me successful in the space and teaching my partner Steve along the way as to what the hell is crypto and what are we doing with it. This is the episode. I just wanted to pop right in and introduce it. It's very exciting. I hope you learn something valuable. At the bare minimum, you become a better investor today than you were yesterday. Thank you so much for your love and support, tuning in, watching this, listening to it. Whatever you do with it, may it bring you a different level of sophistication. Peace.
Steve Wolterman. This is Jake Tolis. Sometimes we'll call him JT. Together, we are part of a company, Bleeding Edge Capital. And Bleeding Edge Capital is a GP and a crypto hedge fund. About a year ago, I met JT. My background, I have a small law firm. I'm an attorney, practicing mostly business, tax, and real estate. But I met JT, became fascinated with crypto. Convinced him to put together a fund, and we've done such, and on our way now. With regard to that fund, I'm responsible for legal and operations, but JT is the head of all strategy, makes all the investment decisions. And this podcast is not about the fund, but is rather educational. And I know a lot of people that I talk to, I feel like are me, who want exposure to crypto, want to learn about it, but where do you start if you don't have the software expertise background or a technical background? So over the last year, just everything I've learned from JT, we're going to try to recreate some of these podcasts and be able to ask questions and have him educate us. I think a lot of people, as I said, like me, will find a lot of value in this.
Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I want to remind you that we are a discretionarily long fund. That means the time frames, the time horizons that could be referenced in this episode, the shortest period would be 3 months, and at most we're talking about 5 years here. So when you hear about a new development or trying to understand the fundamentals we discuss in these episodes, just relax and have the perspective that this will not play out for an extended period of time, and you have time to do something about the information you learned here today. And speaking of that information, some awesome disclosures. We are not financial advisors. Nothing in this episode or any other episode you may hear from Bleeding Edge Capital could be construed as financial advice, life advice, or any other form of advice. We are simply here for educational purposes.
Welcome back to Crypto Classroom. So I'm Steve Wolterman with Jake Tolis. This is episode 9. And today we're going to take a fun turn here. In the last week or so, Jake has been very excited about a particular asset, a particular project called Chainlink. And he's talked to me about it a bunch. I thought it'd be a fun opportunity to kind of dissect one of these crypto projects that isn't a Bitcoin or Ethereum that maybe not everybody's heard about, and see what we can unpack. So maybe you could lead us off, Jake, with kind of a high view of what Link is and why you're excited about it and why you think there's a real value to it.
Yeah, of course. So the Chainlink has... First, it's good to understand that, it meets a lot of the criteria that we have here at Bleeding Edge Capital. One, it's old.
How hard was it?
Started back in 2015. Their net went live it went live in 2015. The company probably started around 2014.
So when it comes to age, I know a lot of the assets in this world, you don't like what popped up a month ago and is pumping real hard and, gaining a lot of value. You seem to put, more credence into something that's been around. What kind of time period is a long life in this short world of crypto?
If an asset's made it through one bear market, that's impressive because liquidity will be. I mean, at the peak of the bull, we were at 3 trillion. Well, we went to 800 billion. So I mean, we're talking a few multiples down in total market capitalization, of which maybe 70% is in Bitcoin. So for an alt to go from maybe $1 billion down to 50 million in market cap and they survive, that's impressive. Right? I mean,
and to highlight, so Chainlink is an altcoin.
It is an altcoin.
Yes, as opposed to, okay.
And its market cap has ebbed and flowed from, it probably had its ICO around 80 million and it's gotten up to, if I had to guess, about 25 billion market cap. And it's hanging out around 7 billion. So it's in the top 50 in terms of coins that are, by market cap specifically, it's in the top 50, which is where we like. We like the market proven, time tested assets that are always in the top 100 cycling through markets. And that's really where our conservative approach to the market makes sense. So it's a stable asset from that perspective. They've survived 3 bear markets. And every time they're in a bear market, they build some really cool stuff.
I'm sorry, they build what?
Build some really cool stuff. Yeah. Like stuff that ends up transforming and changing, almost the catalyst of the market. I'll give a brief example. Last bear market, they essentially built a way to expand their main line of business, which is oracles. We can get into what those are for the guests, but really the oracle product they have has grown from 1 to 1,000 in this the past probably 3 years.
Maybe we should define oracle, because I think the company, but I don't think you're talking about oracle.
Right.
So what are we talking about?
Oracles are, and I use this in my content, you guys follow me, like buckets of code. We can think of it like that. Okay. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Just imagine just a bucket of code. It does something. So it's a software product. Its main function is to move data on chain. Now, you might be thinking, I thought blockchains had all their data on chain and all this other stuff. And the reality is, blockchains, one of their fundamental flaws is that they only really have whatever is on chain at inception. So, like Solana, for example, it only knows the price of Ether. They're two, they don't work together. It only knows the price of Ether because there's a price oracle that links Ethereum to Solana. And you can't move the assets through this, but data that is not encapsulated in a token could be moved on to Solana. So that way you can build an exchange on Solana and know the prices of everything. They also have oracles that are not price data that power smart contracts. So to give you an idea, let's say you wanted to build an insurance product for farmers. The hardest thing about underwriting insurance for farmers is weather. It's really difficult to project that and everything else, right? And it really does limit the amount of coverage and the kind of products that are available to farmers. Well, with smart contracts that automate the business logic for that insurance contract, like a claim being filed and processed and everything else, you could have a price oracle that feeds the smart contract weather data. So there's instant execution. Hey, we had a drought. You can see from this weather data that it's not rained in almost 40 days, and I lost my entire crop. Filing a claim for that is a nightmare. But if you had an oracle that was feeding Ethereum where the smart contract was deployed, if it was feeding that smart contract the weather data, it could instantly be executed through these price oracles. So it just brings data from an outside source onto a blockchain. And that use case, that utility, has been profound. DeFi, last bull market, went from 0 to 80 billion. And it was only possible because of Chainlink's oracles. It went from less than $1 a token to $50 in that time period because you can't have DeFi without oracles.
Why?
because I can't know the price of another asset anywhere else without them. So if I'm trying to swap my BNB for, uh, you know, for people that may not know, DeFi last bull market was filled with like garbage. We called them shit coins in that one episode, right? That's all DeFi really is doing. I mean, there's legitimate decentralized finance applications like Aave, Maker. We can talk about those in other episodes, but like 90% of the activity is degenerate shit coins. So moonshots, exactly. Yeah. So if you wanted to swap your BNB for a shit coin, you don't know the price of either unless you're on an exchange that uses price oracles to facilitate the swap. The exchanging of valuable information
So
between.
is Chainlink today the only one that does that, that provides that?
They were first to market. Yeah, they were the only ones. And then some others started popping up.
Okay.
But they were the first to market by years. And they have probably, I haven't been able, because this industry moves so fast, I haven't been able to do a total market analysis, but I'd be very confident saying they own 80% of that market.
So that almost sounds like like on a 500 foot view that they are facilitating interoperability between like using different tokens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, they are. That has been their play from the beginning, interoperability.
Okay.
That's why they're one of my favorite interoperability assets. They really do build cool stuff for them. And up until July 20th of this year, that was their only reason to exist. They were deployed on Ethereum. They use Ethereum for their data availability, so they push all of the stuff onto Ethereum blocks. Their tokens in ERC20, so literally you can just buy Ether and swap it to Link. It's compatible with anything on Ethereum. You can use your MetaMask. It's all very isolated there. Since it's in the top 50, it's on pretty much every centralized exchange. So getting exposure to this is very simple. It's very easy. That's another reason why we like
using it on Ethereum. It's easy because, like, just again, like, when are you using?
It's real. Ethereum's the largest network, so there's the most stuff built to support it. MetaMask is probably the most popular wallet. Most people listening would know what MetaMask is, and it's compatible with. That is the Ethereum wallet. And using really is just buying Link, because that token is how Chainlink distributes the value it captures from these oracles, right? So consumers wouldn't really use an oracle, but let's say I was building an exchange to do some degen stuff. I'm going to pay every time I get a price update on every asset on my exchange. That's how Chainlink makes money. And then whatever the appropriate amount, allotment is to the circulating supply. So if you own whatever is not held for their developers and everything, if you own that token, it'll be equitably distributed.
Right. So you're owning stock in in software.
Exactly.
You're owning its token, and so yeah.
And that's like equity in a protocol. That actually, the comparison to Web 2 would be like owning a piece of every API that's ever been built, and like APIs transformed Web 2. To give you an example, like
API,
application programming interface. So it's a bucket of code that basically makes programming different things a lot easier. So instead of, let's say
but even in a higher view, because we used this before, the email, the SMTP, protocol that is what became email, that was then commercialized by certain companies that got made fortunes off of it.
Yep.
But it's underlying software. It's the same thing here. We didn't have this ability in Web 2, but now if this is like another powerful software development like email, by owning the token of Chainlink, by owning Link, you get a profit from the software, which might be gobbled up by other big companies and benefit them. But
like Chase could create an exchange tomorrow using Chainlink's oracles, right? So that could be huge.
Yeah.
And this newest thing that has been talking about them, they released it in July 20th. It's been a part of their roadmap for years. We never really knew when it would come, but they basically been building in kind of stealth mode this thing called CCIP. It's actually just like SMTP. It is an internet protocol. It stands for Cross Chain Interoperability Protocol. What this thing does is it allows different blockchains to seamlessly communicate with one another. For the first time in crypto history, we have a solution that lets us send different tokens from different networks entirely. Like for people, it might be a little bit more intermediate. It means I could send Hedera to Ethereum and execute a trade and then have it all end up and corrected, all automated by Chainlink. And that's like impossible to do right now. They are the first to market to bring truly an interoperable network. Uh, Not only does it allow other chains to communicate seamlessly together, it also is SWIFT compliant. So if I have a bank, I don't have to change anything. I don't have to get new software, build my own chain with my own token that's on the Ethereum virtual machine, and then I have to mint my own ERC20 token. And all this stuff is gone. They can use the exact tech they're using today.
You can take cash from your bank account.
Yes.
And deploy it to. And when you're talking this interoperability of tokens across chains, but so part of that to me sounds like, sometimes I think about tokens as stock.
Okay.
Stock in software projects as opposed to corporations.
Okay.
And that's worth something because you have some ownership. And so we're talking about using that as a currency. So when you say there's interoperability provided by Link to use these cryptocurrencies across different blockchains, that sounds limited to doing financial transactions and using different currencies I have in my wallet. But is there also, because these are software applications, we're talking about networks, my brain, I'm like, is the interoperability not just being able to use these different currencies to buy things and do financial transactions, but is it a communication level where you've got synergy between different networks and different software protocols that can kind of work with each other?
Yeah. I'll give you maybe a simpler example. It'd be like if you could open Apple Docs on Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
Complete and total interoperability in that way. So like right now, folks at home,
that's a good example. So
right, like if you have an Apple or a Microsoft, that's a big deal.
Right.
Or like actually even more relatable. If I text an Android phone, the color of the text is green because I have to use the phone line and send an actual text message. But if I am messaging to someone who's also on iOS, it's blue, and I don't need access to a cell phone to do it because I can use the Wi-Fi or the internet because we both have iMessage. It's the phone application on both of our devices that lets us communicate online versus using the telecommunication network.
I think first example is easier for the Apple, Microsoft.
Yeah, but it's so in that scenario, like the Chainlink would allow you to run any software on any operating system. Like that's how profound this is.
So you don't have to go buy a specially crafted software that costs a lot of money to make it compatible.
Like literally, you could have all your accounts on Apple ID, been an Apple user 20 years. With Chainlink, it would not matter. You could literally buy a PC tomorrow and log into all your Apple stuff on that PC. That's how profound it is. Now, messages between systems and everything else has been completely moot.
So it's going to serve a great function
in an insane function.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outside of for things with crypto tokens. It's
right. This is where we like to put our money. We like to put our money in infrastructural plays.
Yeah.
Regardless of which network, right now, people, if you're in the market, you might be trying to think, okay, does ADA win? Does Ethereum win? Solana Wind, Avalon. I mean, there's all these layer ones that people are building on that are going to take a significant market share in the next 10 years of smart contracts deployed, of value locked on their network. They're all competing for users, right? They're all going to use Chainlink. It doesn't matter. They're all going to use Chainlink because if they don't, their network's liquidity is going to be isolated. They have to use Chainlink. If you want to, if AVAX wants their token to be 100% seamlessly used on Ethereum, they need to be using CCIP.
So, and is there any reason to, I mean, should we be worried that competitors won't jump up and do, beat Chainlink or outperform them? Or so, I mean, are they now alone in this space, or
Oh yeah. This is something.
This is the new.
This is not even being alone in the space. This is a problem that literally. This is like the equivalent of maybe what people in Web 2 feel like with AI. They're like, oh my God, it's here. It's that profound. Just like zero knowledge was in crypto. Like the fact that we have cross-chain interoperability now, that is something that, we've been talking about since 2011.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it's here now. Like they beat everyone to the punch by a long shot. Their closest competitor I can think of is Piff Network, and they just started making oracles maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they started on Solana, so they're like the Solana competitor to Chainlink. But just in oracles, they would be seen as a competitor. This is an entirely different line of business. They're going to get paid every time someone wants to send a token across chain, or if a bank wants to offer some kind of blockchain services and they don't want to have to build their own network or build their own integration, which is almost impossible, their own bridge to a Web3 network of any kind, they can just use CCIP. And they, like, literally right now, they have the Bank of New Zealand that they're working with, almost $1 trillion under management. And they're going to be working, they've been working with Chainlink the past year in stealth mode in the test net and everything, refining. Then, now that they're public, Q1 of 24, their customers in New Zealand will be able to mint stable coins directly in their checking account.
Say that another way.
So I get paid my paycheck after 2 weeks of work. There's going to be a button on their app that they already have where how much did I get paid this week? Oh, okay, cool, $3,000. Let's say that's what it was, right? There could be a button that says, hey, maybe it's just advertised as a money market account. All Web 2 language, right? Then you just send your money to that money market account. Maybe you want to put $500 into this thing. You're going to get 7%, which would be crazy. When they do that, the Bank of New Zealand using CCIP is going to convert that $500 into 500 stable coins, 500 USDC, USDTA. I don't know which stable coin they're going to use. Then they're going to send that to like Compound or Aave or something in DeFi where they can get 7-8%. But it's just going to look like a money market account. And then they're going to distribute the earnings every month to you in that account by liquidating those stable coins. It's all going to happen through CCIP. You will not know that's what's going on. You think you just had a money market account that's better than other banks. You're none the wiser.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's profound.
So it's going to really, in that example, really expand investment opportunities.
Banks can offer products as if it's their own and not even advertise it's crypto.
And
they'll get all the powers.
They'll be like here, with any kind of FDIC, they'll make a decision of here, we'll offer these,
Well, it's all at this point, if they're not advertising anything for crypto, right? Yeah. And they're not saying like, oh, with our new blockchain, if they're not doing any of that, and they're just saying we have this new financial product, it's a money market account that's getting 7-8% yield, and they legally can say that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what's happening. I guess where that money goes right now in a money market account, let's say it goes to the DTCC and then it gets cleared and puts into some bonds that they use to make yield. Whatever happens, they don't have to tell you. Yeah. They don't have to disclose. No different than using CCIP. They can just make more yield in DeFi like the rest of us. That's why we have a fund. That's why I'm so passionate about it. But they can just use CCIP to quickly onboard those kinds of services and then profit off them. And it's going to bring so much new money into crypto from an institutional perspective. It does not matter what network they put it on.
Yeah.
Chainlink is going to capture all that value. There's no one even close to competing with them on that. The closest up until this point, which is why they were so heavy on my allocation sheet, would have been Polkadot or Cosmos. But for the bank to offer the same kind of experience to their user, they would have to build everything on Polkadot. They'd have to build their own parachain. They'd have to build their own network on it as a parachain. And then they'd have to mint their own token. And then they'd have to somehow get it onto a Web2 interface. Like, it would be a nightmare. But it was the best option. That's why I was so bullish on them, because there's really no other architecture that would allow them to be interoperable. But now it's like CCIP has taken this cottage style, like you have to pick a stack, you have to pick an architecture.
As I'm understanding this, but like with Polkadot, how you're saying here's all the things a bank would have to do. Link avoids that. I get it; it's making chains interoperable with each other, but take me through the specifics. Why does the bank not have to build its own on Polkadot? Why do they not have to?
The way CCIP works, you can imagine it like two things. It's a messaging system. So SMTP is a great example. It stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It was invented by a bunch of open source people, and all it does is move files on servers. Let's say Microsoft, in the beginning, AOL had a server, and the message you typed in the AOL Messenger was made into a file when you clicked send. It gets stored on that server, then SMTP grabs it and sends it to the receiving server. So when you get it, it's just a messaging system with XML text. That's all SMTP does, right? Chainlink is just like that. When you put in a mint order for stablecoins as a bank, that message,
that could be confusing to people. A bank putting in a mint order.
Yeah.
Why does a bank put in a mint order, and what is it exactly?
A mint order would be like, I want you to take these $500 US in that example to a New Zealand customer.
Yeah.
And I want you to mint a 1-to-1 500 USDC stablecoin. So that's run on Ethereum. So the only way you can make a stablecoin is you have to deposit the exact equivalent of dollars of whatever your currency is into that stablecoin protocol.
In other words, this is converting fiat to a digital currency that you can go play in the digital currency world.
Right. So like when the customer in that example moves the $500 in their checking account to the money market account, as soon as they say that, when they press the send button, like an AOL with SMTP, what is happening is CCIP takes that message and the value, the $500, and what we're doing with this $500, two separate messages. It then takes both of those things and does everything that you would have needed to do as a user. So what does that look like? Well, if you were to ask me to do that for you, I would have to get a wallet. I would then have that wallet be attached to a bank account to move the money into the wallet. I'm sorry, move the money into the bank account on chain.
Yeah.
Then I would have to take my US dollar amount in that exchange, convert it to USDC. So now I have my stable coins. Then I would have to send those stable coins to Compound. And then once they're on Compound, I would have to swap them to COMP. And then I would have to basically put those 500 COMP tokens up for collateral. And then people would basically use that as loans to go do their DeFi degen stuff. My 500 is guaranteed by Compound, and if they win or lose, it comes out of the treasury. Really, I'm just providing liquidity for micro loans to DeFi. And then after my 30-day term, it's locked up. I get 510 back, let's say. I would then have to put it back into USDC, or I could just send Compound to my exchange, convert it into US dollar, send it to my bank account, and go get the money, right?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's
It's a lot to follow. Yeah, it's a lot to follow. What I'm telling you is CCIP just says you got $500 and you want to put it into a compound yield fund. It'll take that message, that intent, and the money, do all that stuff, do it, and then send back the results. All automated.
So in this example, the bank's going to say we can offer a better money market rate.
Yep.
We're going to take on some risk at the bank level.
Yep.
By, instead of packing this money market with bonds and this, we might add some DeFi.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And they'll go through some underwriting process and feel they have an acceptable risk level. They're, like here in the States, if you've got FDIC insurance on that account, they'll still provide that.
Yep.
Take that risk on themselves, offer this. We don't know what's packed in there. We don't know that we're getting into the crypto world.
No.
We just want to say, oh,
nor do you need to.
And then we've said before, this will be, once we start getting to this Web3 world, we're not even going to know it because these things will just be happening. So all we're going to see, the average Joe, is they go to Bankrate and they see, Capital One, has got a money market of 5.25. Oh wow, look at this. This bank here's got 7.25. And they offer FDIC insurance. It all looks the same to me. Hell, I'm going to put my money in there.
Yep.
And little do you know, this
CCIP has whatever that order is and whatever Chainlink is doing to capture that little bit of value they did, whatever the bank's paying.
Right. So that technology that allows that, by buying Chainlink's token, Link,
yeah,
you get to own that, similar to had you been able to own SMTP before big banks gobbled it up like AOL and like did in 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And made a killing off of it, and the banks will still make money off of it. But you're just at that very ground floor of owning the underlying technology, and that's cool. What we had Eric on. I think it was Eric who broke it down into, was it read, write, and
oh man, yeah,
read, write,
I do.
Read, write, and
own. Yeah, Web 1 was read, Web 2 was read and write.
Yeah.
Web 3 is read, write.
Own. These technologies that are coming out that are going to be utilized in commerce and all sorts of industries and activities.
Yeah, it's
so cool.
It's super profound. If SMTP was built now and it didn't exist, we're using these blockchain. And let's say SMTP charged 1/1000th of a cent for every file moved on and off a server. I mean,
every email. Yeah,
it would be trillions and trillions, and probably quadrillions, if not quintillions.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be insane. I mean, that's thousands of trillions of dollars, most likely in the past 30 years.
Yeah,
and it would get 1/1000th of that. So we're talking a few trillion in revenue.
Yeah,
right. I don't know if CCIP would be used to that prevalence in the next 10 to 20 years. What I do know is no one's even close to coming out with something like this, and they already are partnered with a bank that has $1 trillion AUM. And that's one of probably 100,000 banks in the globe that could use it. I mean, we're talking quadrillions of value that could be added to our space because of this. It's profound. It's fundamentally changed our allocation of the fund for sure, because I don't see the latest invest advancement prior to this would have been $0. Like, that's going to blow the roof off of everything. But Chainlink is it's an impressive.
We'll do this with your knowledge.
Yeah,
on an episode. And so with Link, I mean, this is very, very recent.
Yeah, July 20th.
Has that been reflected in
Oh yeah,
the growth of?
Oh yeah. In the bear market,
I know what you have to buy. I know we're looking better.
Yeah,
nothing good. But
and throughout the bear market, I was accumulating Link anywhere from 420 to probably 613. I think was the highest I bought it at. It's trading at about $11 today.
What was its high?
51.
Any reason to think it does? So
I think if all they had were Oracle networks, and most experts, including myself, believe that last bull run, the total market cap of the industry hit 3.1 trillion. We think anywhere from 7 to 10 trillion this time around is a fair expectation. That's usually 2 to 3x's each time. The total market, that includes everything, right? In that scenario, I could easily see their Oracle business alone getting to three figures, like 100 something. With CCIP being an order of magnitude larger obtainable market that no one is playing in, I don't even know what their number could be. Right. We've never even seen this business model unfold in the market yet, but the potential is outrageous. Right. I don't know how we don't, like, I just released a YouTube video on my channel. I think a 50x is reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably an appropriate time to remind everybody this is not financial advice, even though we're talking about that and your expectations, but
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Never financial advice, guys. Just do your research, do some Googling.
You are excited. You do the research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped. It's a very exciting technology. So hopefully you all learned at least what Chainlink is. And if you have any questions, reach out. JT knows things, Steve Wolferman, we're here, or hit us up on our RSS feed at invest@bleedingedgecapital.com.
All right. Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you.
It's your boy JT Knows Things, and I'm back to give you those sexy disclaimers. Everything in this cast cannot be interpreted as financial advice, legal advice, accounting advice, and pretty much any other advice that you may or may not be gleaning from the episode. We are simply documenting all of our research for an educational purpose only. We thank you so much for tuning in and your support, and until next time.